24 years after the original Pokémon games released on the Game Boy in Japan, the mainline games have finally made their way onto a home console in the form of Pokémon Sword and Shield on the Nintendo Switch. It's been a long journey to get to this point, with various ups and downs, but how exactly do the latest entries in the series stack up? Set in the UK-inspired Galar region, Pokémon Sword and Shield bring with them 81 new Pokémon, alongside new features such as the Dynamax and Gigantamax phenomena, which change the size and form of Pokémon respectively. In addition, these games also introduce the Wild Area, a sprawling, open-world section of the map with roaming Pokémon. It also includes dens that allow you to battle powerful Pokémon in raids in both local and online multiplayer. It's a slew of new features, but they're executed to varying effect. The lineup of new Pokémon is surprisingly robust, with few duds among the mix. Particular standouts include the likes of Toxtricity and Corviknight, whilst the continuing tradition of turning inanimate objects into Pokémon mean the likes of Poltegeist, a sentient teapot, wear thin. Alongside the new additions are several new regional variants of older Pokémon. This was a feature first released with the last generation of games, Pokémon Sun and Moon, however back then it was limited just to Kanto Pokémon. The list this time still leans heavily toward Kanto mons, however the designs are creative, and these new forms have even provided certain Pokémon with brand new evolutions. This opens up interesting opportunities for the future of the series and breathes fresh life into some underused and underappreciated creatures. Introducing new Pokémon is a staple of every new generation of these games, but so is introducing a new gimmick. This is usually a new battle mechanic, and there are times when it works perfectly and changes how the games are played forevermore, such as the third generation of games Ruby and Sapphire introducing double battles into the mix. However, history indicates that these are mostly just flashy additions, with little substance to back them up. Mega Evolutions and Z moves were certainly a treat to watch, but there was little incentive for the casual player to use them. The same is true for Dynamax and Gigantamaxing. It's certainly fun to watch your favourite mons grow huge on the big screen, or take on a new form entirely and let off some powerful moves, but with the way the game's levelling works, there's little reason to ever use it. It's practically mandatory for raid battles, but even then, it's an event that only lasts for 3 turns. It's possible this is a feature that could be of significant use in the metagame, but in general it feels like a shallow new addition. Once you've seen a Pokémon Dynamax once, the excitement ebbs away. Whilst the Dynamax phenomenon may be something of a swing and a miss, Game Freak certainly knocked it out of the park with the world they created this time round. The Galar region combines the somewhat linear progression of the usual Pokémon routes and towns with the vast expanse of the wild area. For the first time in a Pokémon game you have full control of the camera. This perhaps doesn't feel like something we should be celebrating at such a late point in the series, but it opens up the game in a way fans have been clamouring after for years. There's certainly an argument to be made that the wild area isn't everything it could have been. Some of the detailing in the area feels drab and lifeless, the infamous trees springing to mind. However, the overall effect is one of wonder. When a blizzard suddenly whips up around you as you cycle past a hulking Snorlax, it's hard not to have a beaming smile on your face. For the first time, it feels as though you are properly inhabiting a Pokémon game. Something I thought would increase this sense of immersion was the online play. At the simple press of a button while in the wild area, you can connect online, with other players appearing in the overworld. The unfortunate side effect of this is that the game can often become unbearably sluggish. Add together other players, overworld Pokémon, and a weather effect, and you'll soon find the framerate constantly dropping. Immersion completely shattered. It's particularly unfortunate because the rest of the online integration is pretty robust. Battles both regular and of the raid variety see little issue, and the same goes for trades. Given this is Game Freak's first time really implementing this kind of feature, I'm hoping future installments see this improved. The raid battles themselves making the transition from Pokémon Go are a welcome new feature. Teaming up with your friends to take down and attempt to catch a particularly rare or powerful Pokémon truly captures that sense of excitement and camaraderie you can feel while doing likewise in Go. It's also one of the only points of the game that provides a true challenge and offers an incentive to properly training a diverse team of Pokémon. I spoke earlier of the more standard routes and towns found in the game. Where the wild area might not necessarily be a visual spectacle, these other areas more than make up for it. This is the best a Pokémon game has ever looked. The level of detail that has gone into some of the towns is stunning, and everything really pops off the screen with the bright visuals. The atmosphere of each area really shines through as well, and is aided by a truly fantastic soundtrack. A particular favourite area of mine is Circhester, a snowy town found later in the game. There's a slight frosty mist to the area, complemented by the sparkle of the falling snow and accompanied by gorgeously relaxing music. It shows Game Freak really flexing their muscles and fills you with hope and wonder for what the future might hold. If Pokémon Let's Go was them getting used to the Switch, and Sword and Shield them working on their technique, then hopefully whatever's next is them fully confident and operating at a level of refinement that we know they're capable of. The story in Sword and Shield isn't exactly much to write home about. Once again you must make your way through gyms to reach the championships and face off against a shady villain along the way, though at the very least said championships are refreshingly mixed up this time around. The league system is reminiscent of that of the anime, as you face off against a varying mix of opponents with each run through. It's a nice change that again adds to that sense of immersion in a story that's underwhelmingly run of the mill. Your rival Hop is given some depth that I do believe pays off by the end, but otherwise there are very few interesting characters to speak of. People don't necessarily play Pokémon for the story, but it's still a part of the game, and with each new entry it's a part of the game that becomes more and more lacking. It's safe to say that Pokémon Sword and Shield aren't the Breath of the Wild style reinvention of the series that some fans were hoping for. However, Game Freak has taken great strides from the previous entries in the series. The addition of the wild area, while lacking in some respects, delivers on the sense of freedom fans have been hoping for, and the region of Galar is a stunning look at what the developers can achieve. The game is let down by some disappointing new gimmicks and frustrating online in the wild area, but the latest additions to the cast of Pokémon are some of the strongest in a while. The raid battles provide lasting fun well after the game's story has wrapped, and offer some of the only points of challenge outside the game's competitive scene. The games are genuinely enjoyable, and I've loved every moment of the 50 or so hours I've spent with them, and that's as someone who's been playing these games since the second generation. So, whether you're a Pokémon pro or a newbie to the franchise, you'll certainly find something to enjoy. Pokémon Sword and Shield falls short of providing the much needed evolution the series requires as it enters into a new era, but nevertheless provide an enjoyable experience for fans of all types.